Gnocchi is one of those therapeutic things to do at home when you've got a bit of time. And I'm going to do a pumpkin gnocchi for you. And for my gnocchi, I like to use Tipo 00 pasta flour because it gives the gnocchi a really lovely texture. Now, for the potatoes, use a floury potato. These are Sebago potatoes. They're fantastic for gnocchi. If you can't find Sebago potatoes, don't worry. I have done this recipe with some Desiree potatoes and they work a treat too. For your potatoes, you need to place them into some cold water and then bring it to the boil and cook them until they're really tender. But please leave the skin on. And what I'm doing here is ricing the potatoes, and we'll do our second potato. So straight in, skin on, and mussels, and then rice this. Now these are still warm but not piping hot. You want this to be slightly warm so we don't get any lumps in our gnocchi when we start mixing it together with our pumpkin and flour. Speaking of pumpkin, I like to roast my pumpkin for my gnocchi so it gets that really nice intense pumpkin flavour. So this has been in the oven for about 40 minutes at 180 degrees and I'll need about a quarter of this. So I'll grab my knife and I'm going to cut it in half. I love roasting pumpkin whole like this. Even if you're having a roast chook at home, serve this on the side. It is just delicious. Now I'm going to take one half. You'll see the seeds in there. I'm going to cut a quarter and we'll just move that to the side. I'll grab a spoon, just open it up, peel that skin off a bit. Take those seeds out first. We don't need them. And this is a Jap pumpkin. You could also use some butternut pumpkin depending on what is available. See how easy it is to come off after it's been roasted. And it is super tender. I'm just going to use my hands to mix in with our potato. And give yourself a lot of space when you're making gnocchi because you want to mix it all together. Clean hands, incorporating the pumpkin with our potato. And now just make a little moat with our pureed vegetables. We need to season this, a good pinch of salt, and I'll also season with some parmesan, so freshly grated parmesan. I love this crumb texture because it really incorporates nicely. Now for our flour. This is about 200 grams of flour. We'll start with half of the flour, incorporate it, and then we'll add some more later. Also, 1 egg, crack that in the center. Break up that egg, mix it in. And now you can either use your hands or I start with one of these pastry scrapers just to incorporate the egg, the flour, pumpkin and potato together. Okay, it's just detaching from the board now, so that's as much flour as I need. And now we can start rolling them. A little extra flour on your board, always handy so they don't stick. And we're going to cut a small piece off. And flour your hands too. And now we can just very gently roll this out into a sausage. So I'm going to make mine, I'd say about 2 centimetres thick. I'll just take off this excess dough on my scraper and we'll use that to make our gnocchis. A good little trick is just to pinch the gnocchi with your fingers and then cut so they're all roughly the same size. So just like that, pinching and then cutting the gnocchi. Done. Have a look at them. A little gnocchi dumplings. I'm going to make a few more of these, pop them on a floured tray, get some water ready, and then they're ready to cook. After a big clean-up, it's time to cook the gnocchi and make the sauce. I'm going to do a very basic sauce with this, a butter sauce. So we'll add a generous amount of butter to a pan. And I'm going to make beurre noisette, which means hazelnut butter. What we're aiming for is really foamy butter that then transforms the milk solids into a golden colour. So while that's happening, I'm just going to really quickly slice 1 clove of garlic. Just bruise it and then slice it. And I won't be adding my garlic yet. I just want to warm it through the butter at the last minute, along with the herbs. Now, I like to use some hard herbs for this, so some sage, a few leaves of that, and some fresh oregano. It smells so good. Just a handful of that. And then some good old parsley. I've always got some parsley, so why not? We can add that too. Okay, I can hear the butter now foaming and slowly quietening down. See how golden it is just over here? That's what we're after. You want to be careful with the butter to not continue cooking it, because after you take it off the heat, the pan's still hot, so it will continue to cook those milk solids. So as I jiggle it, I'll add my garlic, and we can add our herbs, but I'm just going to roughly chop the herbs. In they go. Give that a swirl. So good. Okay, done. We'll pop that to the side. I have turned the heat off, so we'll just leave that over here. And I can cook my gnocchi. Now, you don't want the water to be rapidly boiling, just gently boiling. And just like pasta, lots of salt in the water. Now we can add our gorgeous little gnocchi. They'll go straight to the bottom. And then as they cook, they'll start to rise to the surface. And that's the beauty of gnocchi. You don't need to put a timer on or anything like that. Once they've come to the surface, they're ready to go. Look at these little bundles of joy. See how they've come to the surface? They've held their shape and they're ready. It's a good idea to cook these in a big pot like this, so there's lots of space for these little gnocchi to dance around in the water, as opposed to a small pot. Now we're going to pop them directly into that yummy buttery sauce. You can add some of that starchy water. It's actually quite good because it's going to give our sauce a nice sheen. Give that a shake. Oh, yes. Finishing touches, some nutmeg, pumpkin, nutmeg, best mates. Pumpkin and orange, also fantastic friends. So I'm just going to add a small kiss of it, just a little zest of orange right at the end there. Not too much. And now just coat that in the butter. Pop that onto the plate. Serve it in a bowl, but I kind of like the idea of it on the plate and they're sort of sitting in a pool of that butter. And to finish, some Parmesan. You get it in restaurants, you go, how do I make it? Well, this is how you make it. It's easy to do and it is so delicious in a butter sauce like this. So light, you can really taste the pumpkin and just those little nuances of orange and the nutmeg and the beautiful herbs in there rounds this whole dish up. It's elegant and it's really easy to do. If you want to impress someone, make them pumpkin gnocchi. Don't forget the butter sauce too.